Today we celebrate the life and holiness of none other than St. Thomas Aquinas. They called him the dumb ox, but we'll find out otherwise. He was born in 1225, a year before the death of St. Francis. His father was the Count of Aquinas, and his mother the Countess of Teano. When he was 5 years old, they sent him to study at Monte Cassino. His intellectual gifts really inspired the monks, who urged his father to put him in the university at the age of 10. So at the University of Naples he learned philosophy and rhetoric, while trying to preserve his morals against corruption from other students. It is said that a hermit, before Thomas's birth, told his mother that she would have a son who would enter the Dominican order. In his adolescence, Thomas's friendship with a holy Dominican inspired him to join them. His family, however, were not happy campers. They did not envision him as a brilliant young man who would be penniless and celibate. So, what to do? His brothers kidnapped him from the Dominicans and took him to the family council. They found a local prostitute to try and seduce him, but St. Thomas drove her out by getting a poker from the fire and chasing her out the door. Under pressure from the Pope and the Holy Roman Emperor, Thomas's brothers allowed him to escape from captivity, traveled to Rome, received the Pope's blessing, which would soon take him to Paris to study with none other than St. Albert the Great. Thomas's silent demeanor caused other students to nickname him the dumb ox. Albert, however, discovered that the young man was a brilliant thinker and proclaimed, "We call him the dumb ox, but he will give such a bellow in learning as will be heard over all the world." By the time he was 23, he was teaching alongside his mentor in Cologne. In 1248, published his first commentaries on the pre-Christian Greek philosopher Aristotle. Around the middle of the century, he was ordained to the priesthood and showed such great reverence for the liturgy and skill as a homilist that people were really in awe of his gifts. In keeping with the Dominican order's charism for preaching, he strove to bring his own family to a sincere practice of the faith and largely succeeded. His best-known achievements, though, are his works of theology, the Summa Contra Gentiles, the Compendium Theologiae, and the Great Summa Theologica. In December of 1273, the scholar proclaimed that he could write no more, following a mystical experience in which he said, "He had seen things that make my writings look like straw." In Latin, we all memorized it as students, "Mihi videtur ut pallia." It all looks like straw to me. On his way to the Council of Lyon, Thomas became ill, stopped at a Cistercian abbey. They treated him with reverence, and he dictated to them a final work of theology, the Testament commentary on the Old Testament Song of Songs. He didn't live to finish the commentary because, nearing death, he made a final confession and asked for the Eucharist to be brought to him. In its presence he declared, "I adore you, my God and my Redeemer, for whose honor I have studied, labored, preached, and taught. I hope I have never advanced any tenet as your word, which I have not learned from you," he told God. His last words were addressed to one of the Cistercians. He said, "Be assured that he who shall always walk faithfully in God's presence, always ready to give him an account of all his actions, shall never be separated from him by consenting to sin." He died in 1274. He was canonized in 1323, made a doctor of the Church in 1567. In 1965, the Second Vatican Council taught that seminarians should learn under the guidance of St. Thomas in order to illumine the mysteries of salvation as completely as possible. St. Thomas Aquinas, the dumb ox. Ha! Did they find out otherwise? As did everybody else on the earth. The great man, St. Thomas, let us pray to him that we may share somehow in his great gifts of seeing God in the words of theologians and in the teaching of the scriptures and in our own prayerful way. God bless you.